mean, we got like the hidden gem, Fast Nine. I don't know if you've heard of that one. That one was super great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got good stuff and we got bad stuff.
Hey guys, welcome to Thoughts on Film. For today's episode, we are diving into our top 10 movies of 2021. I am joined in today's episode by Ross. You may recognize him from the very first episode. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and consider leaving a like. So without further ado, here is the episode. Welcome everyone who's watching for today. I've got Ross here with me again. If you saw our first video, you might recognize him. So thanks for being here, Ross.
Certified film bro.
It's gonna be fun. So we'll just start off with Ross and his number 10.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of just like to explain my thought process that went into the list just like a tiny bit before jumping in. Basically, I just judged all these movies based on my overall enjoyment first, and then how good of a movie I thought they were, like, technically. So my number 10 is Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. This one I was super pumped for. Baby Driver is one of my all-time favorites. It's so much fun. And this one definitely didn't disappoint. The soundtrack, just like Baby Driver, is kind of like the soul of this movie. Without the soundtrack, I don't think it'd be as good as it is. The soundtrack really helps to move the plot along. I love the performances by Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie. I thought they were both great. I was a little bit let down by the ending. Like, honestly, The ending is probably the only reason I thought this wasn't a 10 out of 10. Like, I thought that movie got progressively, like, less interesting as it went along. It definitely didn't get worse, but I just wasn't as engaged as I was in, like, the first half an hour to an hour. And, like, my favorite moment from the movie was probably, like, you've seen it in the trailers, it's a minor spoiler, the dance scene with Jack and Sandy. I just thought that was so technically impressive how they pulled it off, just the camera spinning around. And I just really loved that scene. So that is my number 10 pick.
Good pick. Yeah, I just watched this last night for the first time, so I'll talk about it a little more later, but I just love how unique his movies are, and he just takes these bizarre concepts and makes them kind of palatable for everyone, I feel like, and I think he did that really well with this one. But yeah, I'll touch on it more later.
Sweet. And I just remembered, got that 4K disc coming in hot.
Ooh, nice.
I'm familiar with it. The reflection's pretty bad, but there it is.
Yeah.
Last Night in Soho, 4K. There, now you can see it.
Sweet, dude. So my number 10 is West Side Story, directed by Steven Spielberg. I just saw this one like on Tuesday. So I definitely did some catching up this last week, but what I was impressed by with West Side Story was the technical aspects of the film. Like, the lighting was so beautiful throughout the entire movie. I thought the sets were amazing. Like, they were giant sets, and
yeah,
they looked believable. Like, what is it, 1950s New York or something?
Mm-hmm.
I thought all the actors did a great job. The singing was great. You know, it's a classic story. It was just a well-done musical, and you could tell that Spielberg really put a lot into it. My only, like, thing that I didn't love is I just don't think the music is that great, which may be controversial, but if the music were better to me, I think it would be higher on my list. But it's still, like, it's not terrible music, so it is enjoyable, and just not memorable for me in that regard, but definitely a fun, like, musical, and it passes my musical test where I hate when a musical doesn't have any talking. Like, this might be controversial, but Hamilton, they just never stop singing the entire time, and it drives me insane. I like when there's...
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get off this video.
Okay. Well, no, I know tons of people would be upset by that, but I just don't. I like to have a song and then normal scenes and then a song. Like, I don't like one continuous song, if that makes sense. So,
No, yeah, that's valid. That's valid.
So yeah, that's my number 10.
Nice. Yeah, I think, like, West Side Story was the movieest movie of the year. Like what you said, I don't know, like, it all just comes together so perfectly. Like, Steven Spielberg is a master of his craft, and, like, he just makes such a good movie. So I would say, like, if you were gonna watch one movie this whole year with the family, like, and, like, I don't know, maybe you're not huge into movies, I would definitely say it's West Side Story. But I'll give some more thoughts on that later.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so my number nine is Licorice Pizza, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. This
Okay.
one's definitely kind of not like your average movie. It's caught a lot of flack too for maybe some things that people would consider controversial. But really, I thought this movie was like, it was so technically well done. Paul Thomas Anderson does long takes like nobody else I've seen.
Hmm.
And the performances, the two main stars, Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman, son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, actually. This is like their first real acting gig, and they both sell the movie so well because the movie is just basically like a slice of life straight out of the 1970s. And their performances really just like give it that weight of real people living in real situations. And to kind of touch upon the controversy without like spoiling anything, like I think what the movie does really well is it addresses these like topics that are controversial, but then it doesn't tell you how to feel about them. So it doesn't condone them and it doesn't say that this is bad. It just said this is what happened. Like form your own opinion on it. And the
Okay.
movie is also just hilarious. Like it leaves you with a warm fuzzy feeling. And Bradley Cooper makes like I don't know like a bit more than a cameo appearance. Like he's in there for a couple scenes and he just knocks it out of the park. He's so funny. So that's my number nine, Licorice Pizza.
Okay. That's I know you're a big PTA fan, right?
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen any of his movies before this year. Like I watched There Will Be Blood at the
Okay.
beginning of this year, but I just watched them all like basically leading up to this. And yeah, I'm a huge Paul Thomas Anderson fan now.
Yeah, I did not see Licorice Pizza, so I can't say. One thing I have seen some of his films, and he's definitely really, one of the best of the modern age, I would say. There Will Be Blood is amazing. This one, I just wasn't really intrigued enough to see it. Maybe I will eventually, but isn't it mainly like a romance kind of coming of age type?
Yeah, I would say it's more coming of age than romance. I
Okay.
don't know. It's very similar to like Dazed and Confused if you've seen that. It's kind of
Mm.
just like not like a huge focus on plot, more just like characters living their lives.
Okay. I'm sure it's good. Was one of the controversies the fact that the actress is like 30 and the actor is like 17?
Yeah, so basically in the movie, she's like 20 something. She never gives like a solid concrete age, and he's 15. So that's like one of the big
Oh.
controversies, is that's like kind of what the romance revolves around. Like not to spoil anything, but it's definitely like a one-sided romance most of the time.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, like it doesn't say like this is good, it just says like this happened, like look how the characters react.
Okay.
You can decide if it's
Interesting.
good or not.
Paul Thomas Anderson always does great work, so
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
I'll let you know when I see it. So my number nine was Pig by Michael Sarnowski. I'm a big Nick Cage fan. I love that man. He's probably my favorite, like, I wouldn't say favorite actor, but in a way he is because I can always count on being entertained by him, even if the movie is garbage, horrible movie. He's always doing bizarre things and he's just so entertaining. Um, Pig was actually a really great performance from him. It wasn't like one of his, weird performances. It's definitely a movie that it benefits if you don't know anything about it going in, which I didn't. Um, yeah, I mean the premise that they give you is he owns a pig that like sniffs out truffles in the forest, and the pig gets kidnapped or pignapped. So that's all I'll say about the plot, but it's really emotional at times. There's a lot of just like cool ideas I thought that they put in there that you wouldn't like expect, especially with when you find out more about Nick Cage's character, kind of what he used to be and what he has become. There's a lot of interesting ideas that unfold, and I think it just wraps it up in a really emotional way, but also just satisfying conclusion to this kind of, it's almost like an odyssey of sorts that he goes on after his pig gets kidnapped or pignapped.
Pigment. Yeah, I saw this one like back in July when it came out, so it's not super fresh on my mind, but I definitely really enjoyed it when it came out. I think Nick Cage's performance is the highlight of the movie. I
Mhm.
really like the themes that it plays with, and kind of like the subversion of the new dad revenge movie. Like, because the setup is basically John Wick, like what you described as John Wick if you just like replace pig with a dog. But I
Yeah.
think it really plays with like that structure of a story, and it creates something new and something unexpected, which I really enjoyed because I thought it like allowed for more character growth and development. But like I was kind of not as engaging for me as it could have been just because I didn't really connect with the story itself. Like, I don't know, like the whole truffle hunting Portland scene. Like, I don't know, that wasn't super interesting to me, but I did think that the performances and themes were very interesting. So that boosted the movie in my eyes for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, good pick. So my number 8 is Don't Look Up, directed by Adam McKay. This movie, in my opinion, was the funniest movie I saw all year. It was hilarious. I was like, I had tears streaming down my face multiple times throughout the movie. And like Leonardo DiCaprio was just a master of his craft. Like he wouldn't even say anything. The camera would just like show his face. He'd make a face, and I'd bust up laughing. Like he gave the funniest performance I've ever seen out of him. And like,
Wow.
I don't know, politics aside, I think it's just like it's really accurate on like the current climate of media and like how information is conveyed. I think it's kind of funny that most people are talking about how the message of the movie wasn't subtle at all instead of actually talking about the message of the movie. I think that just plays into like the themes of the movie perfectly, of that like no matter how hard you try, it's going to be hard to get a message out there because people are only going to want to hear what they want to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was depressing, surprisingly heartwarming, and hilarious. I would definitely recommend this movie regardless of political preference or opinion.
Okay. Yeah, this is one I have not seen. I know a few people have talked to me about it, so I've heard good things. So it's definitely a good cast. Good pick. My number 8 was The Suicide Squad. Um, it's such a I don't even know how to describe this movie. If you've seen the trailer, then you kind of know what the tone is, but you also aren't ready for what's gonna happen. It's just off the walls craziness. All I'm gonna say, this isn't a spoiler, but I'm just gonna mention the beach scene. It's incredible. Uh, Ross, you know what I'm talking about, but
Oh yeah.
there's just like it's definitely got a lot of comedy. It's got a lot of heart too, which I was surprised at. James Gunn is really good at just kind of balancing bizarre, crazy humor with like heartfelt emotion, like he does in Guardians of the Galaxy as well. It's definitely very violent and gory, and it's just a ton of fun. So that's my number 8.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue into my number 7, which is the Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
everything you said is totally accurate. Um, I just think that this movie, like James Gunn understood, he understands what makes a good superhero movie, and he understood these characters. So just like combining the two, he made a really good Suicide Squad movie. I really enjoyed that this movie was actually colorful, unlike recent superhero movies that aren't necessarily colorful. They're just CGI gray mess. The costumes were all different and creative, and I think the majority of them were like all practical costumes too, which use practical costumes. They look so much better in my opinion.
Yeah, they
And then
do.
yeah, just like the emotions you were talking about, I think like giving a character, like having a character be the emotional heart of a movie really helped. And like in this one it's Ratcatcher 2, mild spoilers. Like I think she just adds like this emotional component to the movie that without her it would kind of just be more like Guardians of the Galaxy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but this one just has a bit more heart in my opinion. And I'm not going to say anything about like the final battle, but the final battle is epic.
Yeah, it is for sure. And sorry, I'll just add,
Now go for it.
I'm pretty much a lifelong DC Comics fan. And so any DC movie kind of gets me excited just to see kind of the references and, seeing Polka Dot Man in a movie was pretty cool, because he's such a weird, like, D-list character, but James Gunn made him, likable and work. And like you said, the final battle has a pretty big DC Comics villain, which I was excited to see. So
Yeah, good movie.
yeah. So my number 7, I also watched this last night, is Nobody. I think when this came out, it got basically compared to John Wick immediately, which I think is fair. It definitely is riding on the coattails of John Wick. I mean, if you see the trailer, you can tell why. It's kind of a similar thing. You've got a guy that's kind of living his life, and then something pulls him out of it and back into like this, almost assassin lifestyle trying to fight these bad guys. But what I really loved about this one was how stylistic it was. There's a lot of cool camera work. I thought Bob Odenkirk did a great job. I really liked seeing him kind of going against typecast. Generally he's just a funny, goofy guy, but in this he's just the mean. Well, he's not really mean, but he just beats up so many guys, and he's not just cracking jokes all the time. He's kind of, he's more of a John Wick character, and I was really impressed by his performance, and I just had a ton of fun. I thought the action choreography was amazing, especially in the bus scene, and on like by the end of it, I felt more satisfied than I did watching John Wick, which I'm sure is not what a lot of people say, but I don't know. I had a lot of fun, and it's just fun to watch an action movie.
Yeah. No, I agree. I thought this one was really good as well. Yeah, I'm more in the John Wick camp. Like I like John Wick better. So
Okay.
that kind of like brings it down a bit lower in my opinion, but I don't think it's any like worse of a movie. I think like yeah, like you said, it's technically impressive. The fight choreography is amazing. Bob Odenkirk like goes against type in his performance. They make him into an action star, which I love. And yeah,
Hmm.
like I thought it was just like a really fun time. Like, it was a good movie to watch. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 6, West Side Story, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
This one, for me, it's kind of hard to talk about just because like I liked everything about it so much. I can't really pinpoint like one thing that just like really stood out to me that really worked for me. It's more just like everything worked for me, so everything was amazing, and then it just comes in to create this really good movie. You can definitely tell that it's a passion project from Steven Spielberg. Like I think he mentions that this is like one of his favorite movies of all time, and you can just see that in every frame. Like everything was just so
Yeah.
well planned out, and like it's just beautiful to look at. And I really enjoyed the dance choreography as well. Like I think most directors, if they were to make this now, they'd be scared to basically have like dance fighting in the movie. But Steven Spielberg just like he's not afraid of the roots. It's choreographed great, and like the dance fights are fun and entertaining to watch. I personally loved the Spanish in the movie, just like how much they're talking Spanish, but I can see that being a turnoff to a lot of people. Like they definitely don't say anything like majorly important in Spanish, and if they do, they repeat it in English. But I was actually surprised by the amount of dialogue that's in Spanish in this one.
That's a good point. I was loving that too. We both speak Spanish, so we were fine. But the person I was with, I was like, wow, I don't think they understand a lot of this. Um, which, like you said, I could see that being a detractor if you don't speak Spanish. But if you do, it adds a lot, I think. And I'm glad you mentioned the choreography, the dance choreography. That was very impressive. Like, even looking at like kind of their prom night or whatever,
Yeah,
the dancing in that scene was amazing. And like you said, you don't really see that much now in modern films. So that was very cool to see.
yeah, and I think just to fight back real fast before you move on, I like the music in this one. I thought the music's good.
Okay. Yeah, okay, good.
But no,
I'm
yeah,
glad
that's just a personal opinion.
glad you enjoy it. Maria. Just kidding.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. No, like I said, it's not bad. It's just personally, like it's good, but for me, it's just not memorable music. So I don't know.
Yeah.
A good pick. My number 6 is Last Night in Soho. I think I already mentioned, but I just watched it last night. Yeah, I really like Edgar Wright. I've been a fan for maybe like 7 or 8 years since I saw Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And I kind of touched on this, but I just love Edgar Wright's ability to take the weirdest thing you've ever heard of and make it accessible to everyone and enjoyable and just consumable, if that's a word. Last Night in Soho, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's such a out there concept. Like, from the trailers, you can tell there's a girl in modern times and a girl in the 60s, and there's this weird sort of connection that's happening. I was just impressed by how Edgar Wright portrayed that throughout the movie. And he does it so stylistically. There's so much life in his frames that I just love. Like, the lighting is beautiful. I was really impressed by Thomasin McKenzie. I don't know how to say her name, but I was really impressed by her. She's been in a few things. She was really good in Jojo Rabbit as well, but I think for me, this was her best performance to date. She really sold just all the crazy emotions her character went through. And, it's got a lot of different genres in there. There's kind of mystery elements, thriller, even horror at times. There's also a coming of age element, and I think he pulled off all of those genres really well. He mixed them together and he really made something unique. And for me, the ending was great. We'll have to talk later about what you didn't like because we're trying not to spoil. But to me, it just, there were some surprises and it was fun, but also it made you think, I guess. So anyways, that was a long spiel, but I really liked it a lot.
No, that was a good spiel. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have too much more to add. I think you covered it all pretty well. I will just say the costumes are really great. Like she's a fashion designer, minor plot spoiler, like she's a fashion designer.
Yeah.
And I think they play with that. Like all the costumes are really cool and really fun to look at. Yeah, that's a good
For
one.
sure.
My number 5 is The Green Knight, directed by David Lowery. I actually originally had this higher up on the list, but I bumped it. I'm sorry. I think this is like maybe one of the most technically impressive movies of the year. Like it is just so well put together, so well crafted. And one interesting tidbit is that during like the pandemic, David Lowery actually went through and re-edited the whole movie by himself. So I just
Really?
think that's really cool in a filmmaker. Yeah, like takes the time to go through something that they made frame by frame and just like make these important decisions how they want to tell their story. Um, I really love the atmosphere created in this. Like it's just like it feels like you're in like a Brothers Grimm like dark fairy tale
Hmm.
story the whole time. And like just the atmosphere from like everything, the lighting, I don't know, the shot composition is just like it creates this tone throughout the whole movie, which I really, really enjoyed just being sucked into this world for the whole time. And I think the story personally just gets better and better the more you think about it, the more you reflect upon it. Like surface level, just watching it once the first time, I enjoyed it, but then just thinking more about it, it's like you realize how genius it is and how well each thing connects to each other. And then I just really like the theme of like a man trying to find his place among all these legends that he lives around, and it just really resonated with me. Good movie.
Yeah, for sure. That is my number 5 as well.
Whoa, let's go.
It's
We got the same Brave
yeah.
links or something.
Yeah. We actually saw this one together when it first came out. And I remember we both just sat down like in some mall chairs after, like in the mall, in the middle of the mall, and we just talked about it for like half an hour.
Yeah.
Everything you said, I agree with. It does a good job of leaving you with so much to think about. And it doesn't just give you everything, right? Like it makes you think about things and it presents things in a way that it could be seen one way or it could be seen another. And I don't know, I personally love movies like that. I love when you get an ending that doesn't just resolve everything perfectly. It gives you like some sort of substance to sit with. And like you said, I think this did a great job of that. Um, I think the visuals were incredible, some of the best I've seen in years. There was just beautiful lighting, and not just that, like the costumes, the sets, the color palettes were so amazing. Personally, I just love any type of medieval setting anyways, so that elevates it for me already. So I love just seeing knights in that time period. And like you said, Sir Gerwin is trying to find his place, and there's just that bit of like hero's journey that he goes on, but it's not the regular hero's journey. Like there's subversion to it. I still, think about it from time to time. Like if anyone mentions it, I'm still like kind of thinking about all the concepts. So yeah, this is one that has been in my mind for months, and I definitely need to check it out again, but highly recommended. And I also want to say the Green Knight, that was very impressive costume.
Yeah.
He and you can see it in the trailer, but he looks like a wooden knight, and it's incredible.
Yeah, and I love the sound design of the Green Knight too. Like it's kind of like the Ents in Lord of the Rings, but like he just
Mhm.
sounds like a tree talking. It's so cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, just one more thing that I was thinking of while you were talking, like how you said that there's like so many layers to this movie that doesn't really give you any answers. You have to kind of think about it for yourself. I think this really helps the movie because it's light on action. Like I was
yeah,
expecting more action when I watched it the first time, and I was disappointed by the lack of action, but it definitely doesn't detract from the story at all because there's so much there to just unpack and unravel.
totally. And yeah, I agree. Like I was expecting more battles, but I was never bored in that movie. Like I was just eating up the scenery and the dialogue, and it was just for me a really great cinematic experience.
Yeah, amen. Good number five. So my number four, this
Thank
is
you.
where like it's like just like an all-out battle. It's the movies that came out this year were so good and were so
I
highly
agree.
anticipated.
Yeah.
Right now my current number four is Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve. Yeah, this movie is a technical marvel. Like I read the book in preparation. Like, well, I actually read it when it was originally going to come out, so I read it like 2 years ago now. But it's a very faithful adaptation, which I appreciated. Like he gets basically all of the themes from the book that are necessary, all of the plot points, all of the characters, and like he cuts off any fat that it wasn't necessarily needed. I think it's like close to a pretty perfect adaptation, even though it's only the first half. Spoilers. Um, and I think that like nobody gets sense of scale like Denny does. You can see it in Arrival, just like the way he frames his shots. You can see like a person next to a ship or next to a building. You really understand the scale of these things, and I think it helps to build this sci-fi world that he created. The sound mixing is also incredible. Like I saw it in IMAX and then again on a Dolby Atmos setup, and like it just blew my
Oh,
pants off both times. Like there's like this thing called the voice in the
jealous.
movie. It's basically like just an altered voice, and like
Hmm.
when that hit in the IMAX theater, I like jumped out of my seat because I was not expecting it. It just like hit so hard. And it was so creative. Just like everything had so much thought put into it. And you could tell that Denny wasn't working alone. He was working with like so many talented individuals that really just wanted to make a good movie and a good adaptation. And then just one last thing to say about it, I thought it was perfectly cast. Like I wouldn't have swapped out anybody in their roles. I think everybody was perfect in the roles that they were casted in. Timothy Chalamet was excellent. Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, they were all just so good.
I agree with everything you said, and I will save my thoughts for later.
Sounds good.
But yeah, Denis Villeneuve is amazing. So my number four is No Time to Die, directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga. Sorry I butchered that. And I think I forgot a few directors, so sorry about that with my last few picks. But anyways, No Time to Die. So I've never been like the biggest James Bond fan. Like I like some of his movies and I have not seen all of the old ones. But Daniel Craig James Bond is definitely my favorite. Sorry for all the James Bond purists. I don't know if you agree with that, Ross, but
I agree. I've seen
oh,
them all
okay.
and I agree. So yeah, you're in good company.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I just think like he definitely has the charm that James Bond needs big time, but he's also intimidating and physical and just you can see like you can believe that he would just destroy so many guys, which I like about him. Like I feel like a lot of the other Bonds, they just seem kind of wimpy almost, but he does not. Anyways, so yeah, I've really enjoyed the Daniel Craig movies, and this movie, which it's been said throughout the whole press release that it's his last movie as James Bond, and I was really blown away by how well they wrapped up his story. There is actually, and I guess this is a minor spoiler, but there is an arc that his character goes on, and that's not really something we've seen with James Bond. He's always just kind of the stagnant kind of jerk, charming guy. But it was refreshing to see him go through changes and become something different. That's what really made this stand out for me. On top of that, there was amazing action, amazing chase sequences, action sequences, a lot of cool ideas too. Like they do a lot of cool stuff with the villains. And I know a lot of people didn't love the villain. I thought he served his purpose. He wasn't the greatest of any James Bond ever, but I thought he was good. And I was also impressed by the opening scene. There's almost a bit of horror, a little bit thrown in there. And so yeah, anyways, it's just this huge culmination of what is James Bond, what has he been, and what has he become. And I thought they tied it up really well.
Yeah, no, it's a good segue into my number 3, which is No Time to Die. I'm not gonna try to say the name. I think you said the director's name right. I don't know though.
Okay.
But yeah, this was so good. It was everything I really wanted from a Bond film. Like it understood the campiness of the character. Like Bond delivers these like puns, these one-liners. Like there's some campy moments, but then like it wasn't afraid to be the most serious Bond film. I don't know maybe if it succeeded in that regard. Casino Royale might be the most serious Bond film, but I think like the heavy moments really, really worked. And I think it was sold mostly by the performances. Daniel Craig is my favorite Bond too. And I think that's because he's just the best actor to play Bond. Like he can capture the full range of emotions like no other actor who's played Bond before him has been able to. And I think that just really helps to give this gravity to the film. Léa Seydoux is also amazing. She returns from Spectre. And I think, yeah, like just the performances in this are really, really solid. Ralph Fiennes as M is great again. And
Yeah.
that just gives it it gives it this realism and it like grounds it in a way that I really enjoy because the performances are very real and grounded while all this crazy stuff is happening around them. I do agree with what you said about the villain. I think like the villain is like kind of weak. We don't fully understand his motivations. Like he kind of just like appears and disappears, but I think he definitely serves his purpose and he plays a good villain. And if I were to have like anything be weak in a Bond film, it'd be the villain. Because I mean, like what Bond villain isn't like one note or just like kind of thrown in there? They're all kind of like that. But I really enjoyed the villain in this. Um, and the Cuba scene, which we've seen in the trailers. If you've seen the trailers with Ana de Armas, that was like literal perfection. I
Yeah,
have to
so
watch it
good.
like multiple times. It's just so good. I think that is like a microcosm of Bond and like what Bond should be and how to perfectly just like have James Bond in a movie. And Ana de Armas, like having her in there does not hurt it at all. And Hans
Yeah.
Zimmer's score, I really,
Mm,
really liked it. It kind of does have his
yes.
classic like womp womps, but hearing his womp womps mixed with like the James Bond theme was just so cool. And yeah, this is like one of my top favorite Bond movies of all time. Like I really enjoyed it and I thought it tied off the character's arc perfectly.
Great thoughts. I had a few more as you were mentioning some things. If you saw our score video, you'll know that we're both Zimmer fans, big time. So I agree. There's a specific part in the end where Hans Zimmer is just full Hans Zimmer. There's no holds barred. He is just going for it, and I was emotional. I've never been
Yeah.
emotional in a James Bond movie until
Yeah,
this one.
that final song is super emotional. I have to agree.
So super great score for sure. And I just wanted to mention too, for me, the Craig movies, Casino Royale is still my all-time favorite, and Skyfall, I think, is my third favorite. I think No Time to Die is my second. That's how good it is. To me, the second and fourth movies aren't good. I think the second one's fine, but I think Spectre is a piece of hot garbage. And that's just a testament to this movie that they salvaged all the crap from Spectre and were able to make such a satisfying ending. To me, that was a big deal. So props to Cary, Joji, Fukunaga, and the whole team.
Amen.
My number 3 is Spider-Man No Way Home. This one is hard not to spoil. And I kind of touched on this in my last video, so I won't go huge into it. But for me, the last two John Watts Oh, and I don't think I mentioned that. Directed by John Watts. The last two Spider-Man movies for me, they just didn't quite do it. They were fun, but that was about it for me. They didn't quite understand the character of Spider-Man, in my opinion. He was just kind of a goofy kid who just wanted to be an Avenger, I felt like. And if you read the comics, that's not really what his motivations are. So, anyways, I was really happily, or I was really, what's the word? I don't know. I was happy to see that No Way Home kind of brought him back to what his motivations are in the comics. It made him a more empathetic Peter Parker. It actually had moments that were like they were big moments that he had to choose something. They were big, like I can't think of the word, but there were big
Consequences, I don't
moments.
know.
Yeah, yeah. There were consequences to what was happening. It wasn't just, oh, I want to kiss MJ and go to a party. It was like, oh, should I save these people or do what I want? I guess that's a minor spoiler. But so yeah, it was nice to see Peter Parker that was dealing with these kind of hard decisions. And then, in my opinion, he was able to kind of become more of what the Peter Parker that I know and love from the comics is. So that was my biggest excitement from this movie. And, you know, not to mention seeing some of the old villains come back was awesome. I love Green Goblin, so he was great in this as well. And the supporting cast, they were phenomenal. I was really impressed by Zendaya and Tom Holland's performances, and it's just a ton of fun. So, as a Spider-Man fan, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I think we're really on a roll here because my number two is Spider-Man: No Way Home, directed by John Watts. I think this one is probably so hyped due to recency bias and just like the hype around it. Like this is definitely like a hype train movie. It's just so much fun. Like I wasn't
Oh,
bored a single
totally.
moment throughout this whole movie. And yeah, like you said, I really agreed with everything you said. I think this one, like Tom Holland finally got a chance to become Spider-Man to really shine in the role. I loved like the stakes, the consequences to the actions. Like, 'cause, yeah, in previous movies, he kind of, like you said, he just kind of is there. Like, you don't really feel like he has an arc, like he grows as a character. But I think
Right.
in this one, he really does grow as a character. And yeah, I was also impressed by the acting. Zendaya, honestly, like I like Zendaya as an actress, but her as MJ, I just haven't enjoyed in the other two movies. But I thought she did really well in this movie.
I agree.
Um, and yeah, I thought that this balanced the tone better than most Marvel movies have been able to. Like it was able to handle the serious moments and like let them be serious moments for a bit before undercutting them with a joke. And then yeah, like the fun moments were obviously very fun. And yeah, the return of the old villains was great. Willem Dafoe, never given a bad performance. He's awesome again as Green Goblin.
Yeah,
And
he
yeah,
is.
without going into spoiler territory, those were like the main reasons why I like this movie.
Yeah, I agree. And the score was good too. It wasn't amazing for me, but I thought it was better than the other two Spider-Man movies that Michael Giacchino did. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like he really like does he does his Spider-Man theme. I feel like he does it the best in this movie as he's done in any of the other movies. Like this movie has the best Spider-Man theme from him.
I agree. Yeah. And yeah, just like you said, just tons of fun. I will say I did have a couple problems with it. I think some of the plot points don't really make a lot of sense when you think about it. Which I think the farther away we get from it might make me not love it as much. However, what it does well, it does so well that it's just tons of fun. So
Yeah, no, I agree. Sorry, it's turning into the Spider-Man video, but I
you're good.
think that yeah, like I was worried going into it that the whole movie would just be fan service, like that's it, no plot, just fan service. And I will agree that
Mm,
some of the plot just kind of like is convenient, it just happens. But I think like having the emotional weight and like stakes and character development does definitely help this from just being like a fan service movie with like just a point A to point B plot.
yeah, totally. Yeah, there
But
was
yeah, I agree.
actually.
Like maybe, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say there, like you had said, there was emotional and serious moments that it wasn't just an average like jokey Marvel movie, which I appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, will it stand the test of time like The Green Knight? Probably not, but is it a ton of fun? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's definitely special for Spider-Man fans, I'll say that. So my number two is Dune by director Denis Villeneuve. And he is my favorite working director today. I love his movies. Prisoners is one of my favorite movies of all time. And every movie of his that I've seen, and I have not seen all of them, I'm missing a couple, but I'm always kind of left in shock by the end of just how impressive they are. Sometimes it's impressive because of the acting, sometimes the directing, sometimes the technical aspects. And for Dune, you had mentioned this, but the scale was incredible and the technical achievements that this movie was able to achieve, I guess, for lack of better words, it was amazing. To me, this was the best theater experience I had all year. And that probably like, why is it number two? Well, I'll get to that later, but it was just so immersive. Not once throughout the film did I like look at my watch or get bored. I was just so into this world. And I think big time that was achieved because of the special effects were incredible. The acting was incredible. Like you said, perfect cast. I think you have a lot better say in that than I do. I have not read the books. So I went into this knowing nothing, and I was still so immersed and intrigued. And I just love that kind of political intrigue that it gives you, while also giving you kind of these epic visuals and these epic ideas. And I'm super excited for part two. And I'm kind of upset they didn't film them back to back. Warner Bros. Should have done that. I don't know why they didn't, but anyways, like you had said with one of your picks, I think it was West Side Story. For me, Dune was just everything that a movie should be. It was just the perfect cinematic experience.
Yeah. No, like small spoilers, maybe to put your mind at rest. There is like a 4 year time jump, like about at the middle of the book where the first movie ends. There's like a 4 year time jump just a little bit after that. So it's not
Okay.
too bad that they didn't film them back to back. It does suck that we have to wait, but at least plot wise, it kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Um,
That's
but yeah, just one thing I was thinking about while you were talking, which I've now forgotten about. Oh yeah, just my experience with it was like I expected a perfect movie going into it, and like when I got a perfect movie coming out, I was like, honestly, I don't know, like it didn't just like blow me away, which probably because my expectations were so high, like this was gonna be the greatest movie of all time, and like I met those expectations. I just like left the theater feeling a bit like not underwhelmed, but I don't know, like I didn't love it as much as I wanted to love it on my first viewing. But yeah, definitely on rewatches, I think like just the craft that went into it, it's definitely growing on me. Like if you expect a perfect movie, you're gonna get a perfect movie out of this one.
I'm so astounded by Denis' work. And there's a reason you had such high expectations, right? Because he's done so many great
Exactly.
films. I will say my only complaint, and this could be sometimes I get kind of headaches, and this I think I had a little bit of a headache when I was watching, but the lighting was so like it'd be so dark and then there would be these bright flashes and I was just like I feel
Yeah,
like
just like
that could have
Syria
been.
retinas.
Yeah, like I feel like they could have kind of done that a little better. But again, nobody that I've talked to has complained about that. So maybe it was just me.
No, like I do definitely see your point. Like that's not normally a huge complaint for me because I kind of actually like it, just being completely like blinded. But no, I can see that's a
Okay.
valid complaint. Jason Momoa is great. He plays Duncan Idaho. He's just awesome. He's a bro.
Yes, he is. Oh, I
Oh, there
have
he
action
is.
figures. That's how nerdy I am. I have Duncan Idaho action figure right here.
Nice.
So
You can see Paul
definitely,
back there too.
yep, there's Paul doing his little knife thing.
So my number one is In the Heights, directed by John M. Chu. Um, as previously
Okay.
stated, I am a self-proclaimed Lin-Manuel Miranda mega fan. I don't know, people hate him. I think they hate him as a person. I don't really know him as a person. He
Really?
seems like a cool guy. I think that people think he's cringe or something. I don't know. I
What?
think he is so talented. Like that's conversation for another day. But In the Heights, like, was one of my most anticipated movies ever since the first trailer dropped. Just because I love him, I love his music, and like I love this play. Just like I don't know, like the Latin American experience in Washington Heights, just like a place in New York City, was just like super interesting to me. And I don't know, each musical number, like the direction that John M. Chu gives it, it like feels fresh and innovative. Like Steven Spielberg definitely does like a classical musical style in West Side Story, which 100% respect. It's well done. But John M. Chu like does like a modern spin, which is like appropriate for this story because it's like a modern day story for like each of the
Yeah.
musical numbers, and each one feels different and exciting and fun. And I just really appreciated that. I think Anthony Ramos, the lead of the movie, gives an amazing performance. All of the singing I also enjoyed. His was the best out of anybody in the cast, though he's a Broadway performer. And it was just like a ton of fun. So much love and hard work went into this movie, and just like seeing it on the big screen just brought a huge smile to my face. I love the story. You can follow your dreams. You can be happy wherever you're at. Just like live your life, enjoy your life, and let's sing songs. I don't know. It just really resonated with me on an emotional level. And like apart from that, it was really well made. So I think that's just like culminated for it to be my number one of the year.
Awesome. Okay. I totally forgot that was a movie that came out. I never saw it, but I wanted to, so I'll for sure check that out. Um, so did Lin-Manuel do all the music then? You said, right?
Yeah, so it's an adaptation of his first Broadway play. Like that's
Okay.
the Broadway play that like made him basically like his like breakthrough. So yeah, it's an adaptation of that. And so yeah, he wrote the music for it, and it's a really well done adaptation, stage to film musical.
Wow. No, that's one that I want to see, so I'll have to check that
And you'll
out.
like it because it's not just like nonstop singing.
Good.
They do
Okay.
talk.
Good. Then it passes my musical test. Sweet. Sounds like a really good film. Drum roll for mine,
Drum
please.
roll.
uh, I think you know.
I know it is.
My number one is Cruella. No, I'm just
Dude, I knew
kidding. So my number one, I'm gonna get hate for this. I don't care. It's Zack Snyder's Justice League. Let that sink in if you need to. I know Ross knew it already, but so I have a few different layers to this. So I don't think it was a perfect movie, and I do think Dune was a better movie overall. But my personal enjoyment is what made this my favorite of the year. So just a little bit of a preface. Back when I was like 9 years old, I used to watch the animated Justice League cartoon with my dad. He's big into superheroes. And so it was just something that I looked forward to as a 9 and 10-year-old, and just, time that I got to spend with my dad. That's really what started my love for DC Comics and the Justice League. Pretty much from then on, I'd always wanted a movie. I'd always hoped for one just because it's such a special thing to me. And when we saw the the 2017 version, it was just such an abomination of studio interference, and it's just not good. I remember at the time, I didn't see it until later, but when I saw it, I tried to enjoy it and like make excuses, but anyways, fast forward to Zack Snyder's Justice League. To me, it was just a huge difference. It is 4 hours long, which a lot of people don't love. For me, because I love these characters, I loved it, and not just because of that, but it didn't feel like 4 hours to me because it was so well paced, and it felt like maybe 2.5 or 3 hours. Anyways, I'll try to shorten my long thoughts, sorry, but it really to me did justice, pun intended, to the characters. Like, Superman's my favorite hero. He was actually capable and cool in this. Flash and Cyborg actually did things and were important to the team. Batman was a huge difference in this. He was terrible in the other one, but in this he actually felt like the same Batman. and yet he had gone on a bit of a journey, and he's changed since the last time we'd seen him. And then Wonder Woman was just as good as always, I thought. Um, Aquaman, he felt like the one who got the least amount of to do, but he was still good to me. And it was just so satisfying for me to finally have a Justice League movie that I could love and that I can rewatch and just in a way be proud of. That sounds weird, but just finally have a movie that as a fan of most of my life I can look at and be like, that is the Justice League. The villains were great and it was just epic. So I know you have a bit of a different opinion, but that's my number one. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think just like before jumping into my thoughts, what makes these like videos interesting or worth watching and like why I watch other people's top 10 lists is just because like, it's that personal aspect. You like nobody ranking movies objectively yeah, objectively would just be so boring because like everybody would have the same number one, like this is the best movie because XXX. Like the
Yeah.
emotional ties are like what really makes it like your favorite movie of the year and helps to make these lists fun. But yeah, Justice League, Zack Snyder's The Justice League. I didn't hate it. I thought it was definitely better than like the Josh Whedon Abomination. That's easy. But yeah, it was just like it
Yeah.
was so long. Like 4 hours is a long time.
Yeah.
I did watch it all the way back in March and I haven't rewatched it since. But as I'm like rewatching all the Batman movies in preparation for the Batman, I am honestly really excited to rewatch it. Like, I don't know, like in my mind, I keep thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna watch Zack Snyder's The Justice League again. Like I'm excited to watch it again. It's gonna be fun. It's like I didn't hate it. It was just like really long. And I think just like after finishing it, I was like, yeah, like that was good, but I wish there was a 3 hour version.
Yeah.
Like some stuff did bug me, like all like the slow-mo. I didn't like the shot of Cyborg playing football always comes back to my mind, and I'm like, why was that in there? Like, I
The
don't really
slow-mo.
care to watch Cyborg play football in slow-mo, but
Okay.
yeah, overall, like I'm glad he was able to make the movie. It was definitely an improvement. I thought it was good. It was just a bit long for my taste, but I am excited to watch it again. And I don't know, I think my opinion will change on it. I think I'll like it a bit more this time. But yeah, I liked it. It just wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, and that's fair. I know a lot of people, it's weird. Zack Snyder seems to have either very passionate fans or people that just hate his work.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that we're either or. I don't love all of his stuff. I do like most of it, but I think some of his choices do have a tendency to divide people or like be divisive. Like the slow mo, I totally get it. Like it was gratuitous at times. Um, and then my biggest complaint of the movie is the soundtrack whenever Wonder Woman is there.
Yeah, crap. I just
I
remembered that. Now I'm less excited to watch it.
I don't know why
Just
that
kidding.
got through. Why was that a thing? Like
Yeah.
even the first time I watched it, it kind of took me out a little bit. And it's not like the entire 4 hours, but pretty much every time Wonder Woman shows up.
Well, it's
So,
especially annoying too because I think the Wonder Woman theme is so cool. Like the one in Batman vs
right.
Superman and in Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, like it's so cool. But yeah, the twist they put on it with Justice League, yeah, I don't
It
get it.
just
I don't know
it
why.
it sounds bad. It just sounds like
Yeah,
some lady like screeching, and I wish that wasn't in it, but that's pretty much my biggest complaint. Like there are a couple things here and there that I don't agree with. Zack Snyder does stuff seems like just for visuals, even if it doesn't make sense for the character sometimes. Like when Wonder Woman is stopping the bank guy from blowing up the bank and then she like blows him up. I don't know if you remember that, but it's kind of
yeah,
like what? Anyway, so I have some complaints, but for me overall, it does feel like an epic journey. You're actually getting a lot of payoff for Superman's journey that was started in Man of Steel. You're getting a lot of payoff for Batman's journey from BVS through to Justice League. You're getting some with Wonder Woman. Flash, as a Flash fan, it was great to finally see him doing stuff and being cool and capable. So yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, I already went through it all, but um, just as a fan, it was definitely a dream come true, to say the least, and it was my number one. Yep.
Good choices
So
all around.
definitely a good year for movies. I think there was more than usual because of all the 2020 delays, but there was a lot of fun movies for sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely way better than 2020. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we got like the hidden gem, Fast Nine. I don't know if you've heard of that one. That one was super great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got good stuff when we got bad stuff. I'm excited for 2022. Looks like there's going to be a lot of great movies coming out. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, man, we'll have to do it again. Thanks for giving your thoughts.
You're welcome.
Wow, if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I know this was a super long video. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more film reviews as well as discussions and rankings. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.